Well, I think that's what's referred to in the trade as a narrow escape. Getting out before you were pushed, fleeing the scene of the crime. Specifically, we fled down, what is this, the M4? We've kind of done a bit of a loop over the course of this non-league to legend so far. Obviously, starting off at St Albans, heading over here to Nailsworth for Forest Green, which is somewhere in these woods, I think. Down here to Bristol, and now we've completed our weird little... Is it a rhombus? Is that what that shape is? Let me know down in the comments. What shape is that? But we are in Fulham, and not only are we in Fulham, we're absolutely loaded. We went back to the little mortgage calculator again with our new salary of £663,000 a year. We can now borrow over £3 million. Now, obviously, when we went to Bristol Rovers, we made a bit of a mistake. It's known in the trade as the Tor mistake. People who've been involved in non-league to legend in the past will know exactly what I mean there. But we went and bought a mansion. We overstretched ourselves. We're not going to make that mistake again. We're going into Fulham. It's a very expensive part of the country. No mansions for me. Instead, I'm getting a luxury flat, a 3-bedroom flat in Chelsea Creek Tower, which, I mean, it sounds fancy to me. It is going to cost us £3 million. So there is a small financial obligation there. But look at it. It's so fancy. Look, there's no walls. It's basically just windows, glass walls, 16 floors up. I don't know if that's my ceiling or the ceiling that I'm looking at, but it looks fancy either way. Look at all these chairs. We talked before about how rich people love a chair. Well, look, I mean, that table, it's only me on my own. 6 chairs around a table. I eat on my lap watching the telly. I'm never going to use that table. There's a little balcony thing. I don't know what this little box is there. And more chairs. I mean, I've not counted the amount of chairs in this flat, but it really is an extraordinary number. I'm very, very happy that I've fallen on my feet. See, you don't need to succeed. You just need to be good at job interviews. That's the key to non-league to legend. Hello and welcome to Club 4 Part 1 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we are going to have a look around our new club, Fulham, and we're going to play our first game of the new season away against Sheffield United. If you missed the last episode, I would suggest you go back and check that out as a first port of call, just to get an idea of how we actually ended up here from... Bristol Rovers have won a game after I've left. Who's taken over from me at Bristol Rovers? Whoever it is. Harry Kewell is the new Bristol Rovers manager, and he beat Stoke 4-2. What formation did he play? He did a 4-2-3-1. Interesting. Apparently Tyler Roberts can play as an attacking midfielder. And he really got the best out. Oh, see that? It makes me feel uncomfortable that I was pretty useless at managing Bristol Rovers. We won't be making that mistake again, though, although we are in a similar financial predicament to what we were in when we first arrived at Bristol Rovers. There's a lot of debt here at Fulham. They're way over the wage budget. We've got no transfer budget, but we do have something different to what we had at Bristol Rovers, and that is a good squad of players. If we just go through this as an entire squad, position by position, just to give you why am I clicking the wrong buttons? Just to give you an idea of the kind of quality of player and strength in depth. It is like we're living in a different world. Goalkeepers, we have 2 3-star goalkeepers to pick from, one of which has potential. What a glorious situation to be in. Defenders, we've got loads of defenders, and I've heard of some of them. Alfie Mawson, Mark Albrighton, we're not going to play in defence, but we've got a variety of defenders, all 4-star, 3.5-star, 3-star players at a better club than the one that we were at before. If we have a look at the midfield, what have we got in midfield? We've already talked about Albrighton. We've got Mendy. We've got, who else have we got? The names that I've recognised. I've heard the name Tainio before. He's not that one though. But you know, he's a player that exists. This guy they spent 27 million quid on, although we have had to put him on the transfer list and accept £1 million offer for him because he's not going to get a new work permit. He's very worried about it, so we've accepted lots of offers. I mean, he's on 43 grand a week. We just get rid of him. Yes, we're making a £26 million loss on him, but I didn't sign him, and it does sort out the wage budget problem as we go into January and try and do a little bit of wiggling in January. And then in attack, we've got Mitrovic, but we've also got some other quality attacking players as well. Naki Wells is another one who we're going to be moving on because he doesn't want to be here. He's on quite a lot of money. Move him on. He's our 4th choice striker. We're not going to need him. And that should clear the wage budget problem immediately. None of this faffing around, having it hanging over our head for the rest of the season. Just wage budget problem sorted straight away. If you're wondering who I took over from here at Fulham, this name's coming up a lot on this channel at the moment. This man is he's trying to ruin my life. And he's the one who went and took the Cardiff job that I was after yesterday. And he's the one who was here at Fulham before me. He was only here for a year and he's actually left the club in reasonably good shape. He's actually done quite a good job. If we have a look at Fulham's history, obviously started the game in the Premier League, but an immediate relegation, followed by missing out on the playoffs, mid-table, even worse. This is when Gerrard came in. He started to rebuild. He's had an interesting 12 months in charge. If we have a look at his transfers since he's been here, a lot of players came in January. That's not something I'm going to be in a position to do. Who did we spend £5 million on? I mean, this guy, I don't know what we brought him in for. I'm probably going to look to move him on because he's not really, for £5 million, if we can get that money back, that's not really a Kev striker. He's not scoring enough goals. But also moving on a few players as well and then coming into the summer. Not so much in the way of transfer money. He obviously spent all his transfer pennies the summer before and didn't really get involved in very much business at all over the course of it. That's not the same Brad Smith, is it? Different Brad Smith. Okay. If you don't watch It's Coming Home, you don't know what I'm talking about, but I got excited for a second there, even though he's already left the club. So as a recap of what the board are looking for, I never know where do you look to see what the board expectations are? Luckily, I've remembered them this time, but it's always handy to be able to show them on the screen. Club issues, match performance, No, well, basically, they're looking for me to develop young players and play attacking possession football. So we can't do the same boring football that we've done at Bristol Rovers and to a lesser extent did at Forest Green and St Albans as well. We've got to go and try and be positive. We have a better quality of player than we've had before, and we are going straight out. And we're starting off with a control possession preset tactic, which the one time we've used it so far, I mean, we beat Fiorentina with it, so that was quite a successful game in a friendly. It was quite handy having the one friendly left to play just to try a few things out. It certainly worked in that game, and we're going to be using it again in this game. Ideally, I'd want to do a 4-2-3-1, but we don't really have anybody who can play in this attacking midfielder position. So I think we're probably better off doing this. This guy is a natural defensive midfielder. He's very good at it. We've got a couple of other options as well. We're going to be losing Anguissa, but that aside, we've still got Calderon as a backup for Tiny Owl. I need to get rid of this guy because I can't say his name. Maximus at the is it Tiny Owl? Tanio? I know there's like a proper footballer with that name, isn't there? And I can't say his name either. But although it's a familiar shape, it is playing in a different style. So shorter passing, looking to keep hold of the ball, play at a lower tempo, and be a lot more positive with the ball when we have it as well. So a very different style of football to what we've played previously. This is what the league table looks like. The board are looking for a top half finish. We're already in the top half. I am a little bit afraid because Bristol Rovers were 10th in the league when I arrived this time last year, and we narrowly avoided relegation. But I'd like to think if we can have a good January, and we're about to hit January, if we can have a good January, there's always the outside chance of something we're not going to talk about. We are going to play the first game in just a second, but first, I didn't show you the end of the World Cup in the last video, so we'll just finish off looking at the World Cup as well. So the semi-finals are what we got to. So Spain beat Italy, Brazil beat Portugal, the all-important third-place playoff, Portugal beat Italy, and then as we've already seen, Brazil beat Spain 1-0 in the final. Harry Kane did manage to finish joint top for the Golden Boot with just 4 goals, despite England being knocked out by Wales way back in the second round and Kane not scoring in that game. So apparently it was I mean, looking at some of the results, it was a really boring Winter World Cup of teams not really scoring very many goals. 1-0 in the final, 2 1-0s in the semi-final, 2 goals across 4 games in the quarter-final. Have you ever seen a lower scoring World Cup than that one? All because they played it in the winter. Take heed, real world. Let's not let this nonsense happen. Right. let's get into our first match in charge of Fulham. I'm feeling confident and positive. Please don't let us get absolutely thumped. We are away from home against Sheffield United, who are a fellow mid-table side. But I'd like to think this is a good-looking side who we should be playing some good football. And I'm crossing everything that we can get off to a positive start and have a much more positive experience and just pretend Bristol Rovers never happened. Because I don't think there's anybody down in the comments who could possibly be saying on this move, I should have stayed at Bristol Rovers. I think this is the first time we're all in agreement. This is a very good move, but it's one that we can't really afford to mess up. And I think realistically, we probably need to be taking Fulham into the Premier League before we move on, because there's already been a couple of mentions in the media of me not having any loyalty. 4 clubs in 4 seasons. What are they talking about? So, we've got Rinner in goal, a back four of Bryan, Moore, Mawson and Larson, with Tainiao as our holding midfielder, playing as a half-back. Mendy and Calderon in midfield. Mitrovic up front, supported by Albrighton and Hall. As it stands at the moment, this is the pure preset tactic. I've not changed any of the team instructions. I've not changed any of the player instructions. I just want to look at it in a real game as it is, and then we can tweak it from there as we move forward. I mean, looking at most of the players, because we're playing with that higher calibre of player, most of them can play in most roles anyway. So it doesn't scream this is the role you should be playing in like some of the previous clubs have done. So I think it's going to be more a case of better players can probably play a number of different styles anyway, and theoretically should be a little bit easier to mould them into the style that I want to play. And it's the style the board want to play. They've insisted that we play an attacking possession-based system based on youth. So it seems like the perfect job for me. If we can sort out the financial situation, we could have a long and prosperous relationship here at Fulham. Was that enough of an intro to make me look like an idiot when we lose 6-0? I think it probably was. Let's get into a team talk. We're just going to be calm with our first team talk. Recent form standings. Hold on. Forget calm. We're going to be assertive. We're in poor form. It's time to start improving. That's had absolutely no impact on anybody. Right. Let's see how good we are in a real situation. Like I say, we looked very good against Fiorentina, but it was only in a friendly. I don't know how strong the Fiorentina team was, but we did look good and we played some very good football. Fingers crossed we can keep that going into a league game today. But like it said in the little pre-match bit, Sheffield United are a team who are in better form than their league position would indicate, and we're the ones who are in decline. Larson's had about 4 attempts there at forcing the ball through that wall, and now it's Campos bringing the ball away for Sheffield United, and somehow keeps hold of the ball despite a crunching slide tackle on him that he basically just completely shrugged off. These Sheffield United shirts are confusing me. Is this how they are in real life? Because they've got the stripes on the front, but on the back they're completely white. That seems mad. Why wouldn't you have the stripes on both sides? Sorry, there's no stripes on the sleeves either. That can't be how they are in real life. That must just be a Football Manager thing, or else I don't understand. Right, we're playing some nice football again, knocking it around in our midfield, playing it into players in positions, and Mitrovic probably should have scored there. 12 minutes on the clock. That was a big opportunity, but we've had an enormous amount of possession so far, 66% of the possession. We just need to make sure that we actually do something with it, and we don't just knock the ball around looking pretty but have no end product, because that would be troublesome if that's the situation we find ourselves in, and that has whistled just past the post. The whole Steven Gerrard being here before thing as well, the poor form that Fulham are in started with him still in charge. I think it almost feels a little bit like he had a bit of a jump before he was pushed situation going on as well, because although they were in mid-table, which is where he was presumably told to get them. I mean, he might have been asked to do playoffs or more. Who knows? They've asked me for a top half finish, but like it said before, 21st on the form rankings. They've not been playing well for a little while under Gerrard. Good cross comes in again. And again, we're just camped out on the edge of their area, working the ball around into positions. And Mark Albrighton, 3rd goal of the season for him, fires it into the bottom far corner. 35 minutes on the clock. It's a lovely goal. We're just taking our time, knocking the ball around. What a contrast to how we've been playing football in every other video on this channel for the last month. It's lovely to be playing some nice football. Long may it continue. And I'm very excited. This move feels good, and as it stands, we're up to 6th place in the league. We're not going to talk about what that potentially indicates, but that's an exciting place to be. And whoa, that was a juicy looking free kick there. We need to keep a little bit of an eye on that because we don't want stuff like that to be happening. Right, team talk. I'm going to continue to be assertive. I'm trying to lay my marker down on this team. We're going to assertively say, look, don't get complacent. We're 1-0 up. We are playing very, very well against a team that have been in very good form at their place. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. We're looking good so far. Let's continue to look good. Don't get too big for your boots, because that will come back and bite you in the boots. I mean, the cliche bingo cards are so full now that I'm decided to mix and match, make up my own cliches. Right, Calderon is going to come off. The only player we've got who can come on from is Anguissa, who isn't going to be here much longer. Is he a natural? So he's a natural defensive midfielder, is he? So can can he play further forward? Not really. Well, this is a bit of a problem. We don't have anyone else who can play there. So I wonder if we've got another tactic that we're training. Firstly, is it absolutely essential we make that change? Yes, Calderon's tiring as well. So the sensible thing to do then is this was the other tactic that we were looking at doing, and we've got a guy who can slot into that role. So I guess we do that. Are they better off that way round? No, they're not. Can you do anything in midfield, Tiny Owl? Apparently not. Tiny Owl. Right, Mitrovic we're going to take off as well. So we want to have a look at Oliver McBurney and just see what he's all about as well, because we spent a lot of money on him. He was Steven Gerrard's big signing. I want to see what the fuss is about, and also why he hasn't really been scoring goals. I realise that's probably a weird tactical change to make with 20 minutes to go when we're 1-0 up. Sacrifice a holding midfielder, go a bit more attacking. But at the same time, if we're playing with the whole controlled possession mentality with a midfield 5, it shouldn't really matter the shape of the midfield 5. McBurney's in behind. Decent chance. I mean, it's straight at the keeper, but he got into a decent position, which is handy. Larson with a free kick again. He had one in the first half, and now another one now that just sails over the bar in the same way as the one before did. I'm very encouraged by this, even if we end up throwing the result away here. 62% possession, 20 shots. We've played very well. And there's Johan Larsson with it. He's had a couple of sighters and now has scored an absolute screamer. It's 2-0 to Fulham. 76 minutes on the clock. That, boys and girls, is a cracking free kick. And I'm feeling even more confident and comfortable than I was when I first moved into my shiny big flat on the 16th floor. Right, now we are going to take Tiny Owl off and bring this guy on. We're just going to slot him back there because it seems sensible in the circumstances. A little bit more protection for the back four. It keeps him in a natural position and hopefully should just help us see out the game. But this has been nothing short of superb. I don't know what that accent was. McBurney. Now I'm so excited. I am so excited. We're gonna do something that I don't want to talk about in the league this year. But I'm very, very happy with how this first game has gone. I hope the financial position doesn't ruin us going into January, because, of course, the one potential cloud on the horizon is the transfer window opens in like 2 games' time. If we get a big offer for anybody, the board are probably going to accept it because they need the money. But let's not get down about that today, because we've just played very, very well against a very strong side. And we're up to 6th in the table, which is a playoff position. Right, when are we going to come back? I think we're probably going to play through January offline, survive the transfer window or not, and come back. I mean, there we go. I didn't even know it was there, but there's the obvious game to come back for. We'll be back for Bristol Rovers away. In fact, we might even do Cardiff at home, Bristol Rovers away, because Cardiff were one of the teams we could have ended up at. Bristol Rovers away is obviously where we've just come from. I think that's an interesting double header. So FA Cup allowing, because the FA Cup might mess the Cardiff one up, but we'll definitely have Bristol Rovers in the next episode, and the most sensible game to go along with it. Oh, I'm excited. I hope you're excited. If you are excited, let's get to 1,000 likes on this video. We haven't done that for ages, but I think 1,000 likes to indicate excitement has got to be a good thing. If you have enjoyed that, pop the like on there, like like I just said. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos, and thank you very much for watching.